Well, hello, friends. Glad you could join us. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025, and welcome to Round 7 of this Division 1 season here in the Midwest F1 League. We're at the point now where we begin to start seeing answers to the questions we previously asked ourselves at the beginning of the season. Before we go over what those questions and answers are, let's go over what is definitely the truth, and that is the starting grid for tonight's occasion. We've got Palmer on pole by 4/100ths of a second over race day. Race Chase only 3/100ths behind race day. Our top three cars within 7/100ths of a second of each other. Then it kind of drops back a little bit to Sui in fourth. He's 5 thou in front of Nicky 64 in fifth. Got New is about 4/100ths back to Kelly Robb. Another about 15/1000ths back to Shariah in eighth. A-Dub in ninth. Fireflow in 10th. Only about 25 1,000ths back to Travis Scott. Again, 2/100ths back to Gunner. Another 2/100ths back to Lancey in 13th. Drops off a little bit, half a second back to Noganator 14th. BJ Schaefer in 15th, and running at the grid P16 is that of Houdini. So, questions that we were asking ourselves at the beginning of the season include like this. Well, who do we think was going to be the one to knock off Race Day 2016? Well, I'll tell you the answer is nobody. That's just the bottom line. Race Day is walking away with this championship. Exiting the 6th round of the season. He has an 84-point lead over Cali Robb in second, but this is where it gets interesting here. That gap from second, third, fourth, and fifth. Guess how many points that is? Yeah, that's right, 3 points. Separate Cali Robb, Race Chase, Nicky 64, and Reimer. Big thing here, though, is that Reimer is not on the grid tonight. We've got Lancey 9 points behind that in 6th. Only, what is that? 3? That's not correct. Only 3 points behind that is Sui in 7th, Gottlieb in 8th, Shariah in 9th, and Travis Scott's in 10th. As far as the constructors are concerned, it is the Ferrari starting to walk away with this one. 542 to Sauber's 476. The 423 for the Red Bulls, only 23 behind that at an even 400 is the Mercedes. McLaren 15 behind them at 385. 10 back to them is the Astons. The Willies at 354. 9 behind them is the Alpines. 66 back of the Alpines is the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls at 9th, and then it's the Haas's in 10th. We are today in Budapest. Usually it's not a race of the season candidate, this, but it's definitely up there. And I tell you what, there's really only been a handful of Hungarian races here in Midwest that haven't ended in rain, or haven't featured rain at some point in the race. That's obviously something to look forward to, but it doesn't appear initially like we're going to be seeing some anywhere close by. We've got the top 3, and 3 out of the top 5 on the medium tires. The only 5 cars of which on tonight's grid have selected the hard tires for this evening. That'll be Sui, Nicky, Shariah, A-Dub, and Lancey. The only ones that are going to be hard for this occasion. Everybody else is on the mediums. So this is going to be a race here. Obviously and this sounds like a very obvious answer, I'll be fair with you. The driver who makes the least amount of mistakes is going to be the one that ends up on top. Duh, says everybody. But, think about this. This track is it's referred to as Monaco without the tight barriers. And, well, it's absolutely true, isn't it? We do get a sense of, confined racing here at times. You're going to see a lot of moves with DRS into that first corner. But, realistically, this track is going to show a lot of character out of these drivers today. Who's willing to push it to the limit? Who's willing to go beyond? That's going to be the big question. Once again, the end of tonight's race will mark halfway through this Season 14 calendar. What a season it's been so far. Headlined by more domination from race day, and could we potentially see more of the same here tonight? Of course, having taken 2 out of the last 3 was Reimer, who's not on the grid this evening. Looking at our next 3, we do head to Singapore next time out, January the 9th, January the 16th for Abu Dhabi, and then January 23rd for the Netherlands. Good couple of tracks coming up this, and then we head into a part of the calendar with a couple of tricky ones. Netherlands, Japan, Austria, who I would say is probably the easiest of the bunch here. Qatar, Belgium, and Brazil to round out the calendar. Just waiting for Houdini to find the back of the grid here. And we are about ready to go. Palmer will have that outside line into the first corner. Remember, the cars immediately surrounding him are all also on the medium tires. Lights turning on 4 and eventually 5. And for the first time in 2025, They are away. And it looks like Palmer's gotten a pretty good start. No, he hasn't. Race Day has absolutely blown past him here. Palmer has spun the tires more than a delinquent with a fast car. And in towards that first corner, Race Day's got him cleared and is 3 wide behind them. Heading into that first corner, the Williams on the inside of Gottney Weeb somehow gets through that cleanly. A couple of cars stacking up maybe a little bit behind him. But as they make their way down the hill into turn 2, they are still filed 2 by 2. A-Dub side by side here with Cali Robb going through that second corner through turn 3. And Cali Robb has gotten around him. Shariah will find the outside. They're going up before they get in through turn 4. 15 to 22. That's your strategy window for mediums to the hards. As we can see, Race Day slightly struggling with getting on throttle there. As we head into the worst chicane in Formula 1 here. 6 and 7. As they make their way now through Sector 2 and in towards Sector 3, the grid has slightly calmed down. I'm just wondering how we look here. Gottney Weeb has made up 3 positions. Race Day has obviously taken the jump. Everybody else only really up or down 1 or 2 positions. Travis Scott down 3. Houdini is going to get around Schaefer here on the way into 12. It appears he's given it back, actually, but say that's a bold place to try to make a move. As Race Day leads them out of the final corner for the first time. He does have the lead of this Grand Prix. DRS is enabled. They will not get it until rounding the pit straight this next time by, as there's only just the 1 detection zone for the 2 activation points here, the second of which being down the hill exiting turn 1. Schaefer has got a tenner for speeding into the pit lane, our first penalty of the day. Down the hill through 2. Palmer's unable to challenge this time by. We do have Fire Up Flo and Shariah, who were nearly side by side there for a moment. I think Shariah may have set the Willie behind him. Pause. As Race Day leads them up through turn 5. Sky does look quite gray. I'm wondering if, because we see the majority of the grid, the overwhelming majority of the grid on the mediums, is there rain potentially scheduled around that midway point? You know what I mean? Because if there is rain on the table, which it certainly appears that there could be, you'd really only want to have to make the stop to be able to put on the intermediate tires or, godforsaken, full wets. So we've seen a lot of these guys put on the mediums, and if it's about halfway anyway, then they would have chosen the majority of the mediums. I guess maybe the hard guys are hoping for the dry, hoping to stay dry. Maybe it's like, only 40% or something like that, where it's not guaranteed that it will. Rounding the final corner now, this is where we'll get our first taste of DRS action today. Palmer, I do not believe, is going to be close enough to send it on Race Day here. Well, I had a bit of a peek, but not quite. Race Chase to the back end of Gottney Weeb, not even really close. Nikki 64 around the outside, this time of Swede. They will be wheel-to-wheel, exiting the corner. Swede has gotten a hell of a lot of wheel spin there, getting on the throttle, as Nikki 64 will hold that inside as much as he can, and still wheel-to-wheel going through 2. This is quite sketchy here, especially if they haven't sorted it out by 3. Swede will take and keep that inside, as now they look to go up the hill up to turn 4, and thankfully by this point they have figured that one out. Turn 4 is a treacherous corner by itself, going single car through. Never mind trying to fit 2 side by side. Now Schaefer's got an additional tenner for speeding in the pit lane. He has bit the dust here in what I believe is his debut here in Division 1 racing. So the top 2 starting to pull away from the rest of the grid here. We've got also the 3rd and 4th duo of Gottney Weeb and Race Chase apparently being best of the rest for the time being. Swede trying to defend of Nikki 64. Of course, he's got his teammate in the picture here as well, which definitely will help him. But this time, Palmer is within 0.3 of a second, exiting that final corner. Race Day will have to choose a lane to defend. He'll choose the inside. Palmer around the outside, and he'll have that one. Potentially, Race Day will actually outbrake him on the inside. The McLaren will have DRS once again here, naturally. And side by side, down the hill heading into 2. This one is not sorted out yet for the lead of the Grand Prix. That's a big lockup from Race Day. He'll push wide through the apex of 2. Side by side through 3. They've held it very cleanly here. I mean, Consuela levels a clean at the moment, as Scott Palmer makes it round. And they finally sort that one out by turn 4. Nicely done for Palmer, as he will retake the lead of this Grand Prix. And that's a big one there for Palmer as well. He had that mistake at the beginning of the race, and we talked time to time about how good drivers, the best, do not let mistakes snowball on each other, and for the time being, it doesn't appear that that's affected Palmer. Oh, that's a big one there for Sui, and he's going to back up into his teammate here, as Nicky's going to get him down the inside. And Sui's now falling back even more. His teammate's gotten around him there. Well, that was nearly catastrophe to begin the year for Sui, as that car went nearly clean round, nearly took his teammate and Nicky 64 with him. As it turns out, everybody gets away all right. So down the pit straight they go again. Race Chase might have a look at Gottney Weeb here. Only a 10th, and he's looking to the inside, and he'll have that one relatively easily. Race Day is not within position on Palmer for the time being. Cali Rob will get around Nicky for the time being. He'll try to actually kind of almost push him up the track there and allow Sui now down to the outside as they make their way towards turn 2. That's good gamesmanship there from Cali Rob, as he's going to allow his teammate there around the outside, at least to be able to have that move on Nicky. Still wheel to wheel now going through turn 3, and they've sorted it out, and it's going to be Nicky 64 taking the victory of that particular battle. A-Dub behind him, about 0.2 of a second away. Potentially a DRS train forming here, but we wanted close racing, and that's what we've got. .30 laps to go, the scheduled distance this time by. Palmer does lead Race Day, who now leads Race Chase by 2 seconds. Gottney Weeb is about a second behind him. Cali Rob nearly 2 seconds behind him, and then it's very close. Everybody minus that of Travis Scott within DRS range of each other as we work our way back. Exiting the final corner, turn 14 down the pit straight once more. Race Day is not going to be within position to get this one at Palmer. And realistically here, if you don't get him into that first corner, at least if you're still within halfway decent range, like let's say Fire Up Flow here doesn't get it at A-Dub, but A-Dub makes a mistake, he may still be able to have a look into turn 2. Unfortunately, Fire Up Flow has not gotten away very good, and that may open the door for Shariah. Into that second corner, and no moves will be made this time. And now it has to be said, it's slightly more of a procession the back way around this lap. But still, there's absolutely room to be having mistakes be made, as that looked like one from Race Day there. Well, potentially. I don't know if that was just my internet saying to hell with you and your broadcasting, or if Race Day's actually slightly gone off track there. He has lost a slight bit of time. As we now see Nicky 64 trying to claw back the deficit to Cali Rob as they exit turn 11. They should almost be putting DRS there, to tell you the truth. Couple of tenths now. Nicky 64, 2 tenths away from Cali Rob. Cali's going to drift slightly high up through that corner. We'll get back down to the correct line, but Nicky way down close to the wall, and as they exit, DRS activated here for the Aston. Cali Rob will choose low. Race Day actually may have a look at Palmer here. We'll check that one in a minute as Nicky 64 around the outside of the Ferrari. Cali Rob's almost going to want to push him wide here. That may open the door for Sui as well. This is what Cali Rob did last time. That did allow Sui into the picture. I'm not sure it's going to work this time by, as Nicky's still down to the inside. He's much later on the brakes, and it does look as if he's put the Ferrari to pasture there. What I will say is this: it doesn't appear initially that rain is happening. I mean, it's definitely cloudy. It's got that murky kind of cloud where it absolutely feels like rain could happen, but starting to feel that's not going to be the case. We're going to get ourselves an all-out on track and pace battle here. Once again, now it does appear that Race Day is starting to make good time and getting back up into contention for the lead. Down the pit straight they go. It is 6.5 tenths of a second. How much will Race Day claw back here? I don't think it's going to immediately be that much. Oh, he's way late on the brakes there. He's actually nearly gone into the back of the McLaren there. That was slightly not necessarily a Code Brown moment, but a bit of a clench there, potentially, as down the hill heading in towards turn 2. And yeah, still no challenge available from Race Day. A-Dub within a couple of tenths of Cali Rob. I think as well as these two Ferraris try to, mix and mingle with the cars ahead of him. Nicky 64 now appears to be within striking distance of Gottney Weeb. We could start to see these Ferraris be challenged by cars behind. A-Dub is the one up to bat as far as that's concerned. Shariah's about a second behind him. Nicky still 2.5 tenths to the back end of Gottlieb Weeb. Exiting turn 11 they go. What I will say is not one driver has picked up a track limits related time penalty today. That's good news. That's usually something you'll see quite a lot of here. For the time being, it doesn't appear to be the case. That's great. We have had Travis Scott pit, I believe. Must have been for some form of wing damage. What I will say is this as well. Race day has lost about 2 seconds to the back end of Palmer. What's happened there? Nicky 64 now to the inside of Gottlieb Weeb, and Gottlieb Weeb is getting overtaken here. Oh, well, that Ferrari nearly went clean into the back of the Williams as A-Dub and Cali Robb swapping pleasantries here, and A-Dub is going to be the one making that move. Sui was the one that nearly went clean into the back end of the Williams. I think oh, race day's gone round! The defending champion has made a rare mistake, and now is in a bit of danger. He's missing a lot of front wing as well. My, oh my, that is a huge moment there for race day. Palmer may begin to walk away with this one. Race Chase has not had the pace at the time being to claw back up to that McLaren. As Sui and A-Dub side by side, there's contact made there. Well, it's all kicking off now. Race Day and Sui side by side. This is going through 11. Race Day is essentially now just... Well, there's no other way to say this. He's in the way of the cars around him with that wing damage handicapping him to the point of not really being able to navigate this circuit as he's gotten into A-Dub, and A-Dub's going to lose position there because of Race Day not being able to fully control the car. Oh, he's going to miss the pit lane. Oh, that's a huge one. Oh my God, Race Day is in a world of shit at the moment. Excuse my French, that's the only way to say it. Lancey to the inside of A-Dub, he's going to get that one there. Goodness me, I mean, this is a level of breakdown we have never seen from Race Day here. To have it all go so wrong so quickly. I am expecting a very reasonable crash out after this, and I don't mean on track. Or well, with the amount of wing damage he does have, that's also a possibility. Wow, and just like that, we've got ourselves a new race leader, solidly, of Gott Palmer. And gee, again, we did see earlier, I was talking about how Race Day had lost, apparently, 2 seconds of his time. And, well, I tell you what, he's lost a lot more than that. I wonder where that mistake happened. I mean, we kind of saw it a little bit there. He's hit the wall somewhere along the line. Hopefully he's able to make his way into the pit lane here. I think the good news is for Race Day is that a safety car is so likely here. I think he's definitely got reason to hold on, but Sui to the inside of Gottlieb Weeb. And the 4th spot goes the Ferrari as A-Dub and Fire Up Flow. Wheel to wheel now, going through that first corner as A-Dub does get the advantage. Two-tenths of a second here between Shariah and Cali Robb. Cali Robb on those medium tires, Shariah on the hards. I'm wondering when that crossover point will be. To where these hard tires are the better tire to be on. I don't think it's quite yet, but it's getting there for sure. Maybe it's sooner than I expected. Nicky 64 is breathing down the neck of Race Chase here. Like a man failing to respect your privacy on the subway. I say privacy, more personal bubble, but still. Race Chase has lost about another half a second to full second on Gott Palmer. Yeah, I'm going to chalk that up to a full second. He's now 6 seconds behind the McLaren. As Nicky 64, I think, may just have an easy one here. Rounding that final corner, Nicky's nearly side by side before they even get DRS, as Nicky's going to get round him. Shariah looks as if he's going to get around Cali Robb. Cali did not have DRS to the Williams of Gottlieb Weeb ahead. Now, Cali Robb is going to be under pressure from the diving Dutchman around the outside. Wheel to wheel they go. And it looks as if Cali Robb is going to be able to hold on, at least for now. As Gottlieb Weeb has suddenly lost a couple of positions there. What has happened with that Williams? We didn't quite see where that error was or where that collision or whatever it may be, but he has lost a couple of spots there. Making our way closer to halfway through this Grand Prix. We've seen it all, except for rain and a safety car. The only two things we haven't really checked off our box. I guess a red flag, too. That's just not going to happen. Lancey breathing down the neck of Callie Robb here as we make our way towards turn 12. Callie Robb does not appear to be improving enough to be able to get up to Shariah Coleslaw. Lancey about 0.4 of a second back of the Ferrari. I believe is going to have an easy one here as they make their way down the pit straight. And to the inside. Not exactly later on the brakes, but he's going to take that apex deeper and wider, and yep, Lancey's gotten that one. Meanwhile, Sui about 0.3 of a second behind Race Chase here for that third spot. I think Chase is genuinely struggling as Nikki64 has actually shaved about half a second off the time to the McLaren since getting around the Sauber. So let's see, as they make their way towards turn 14, Sui is now only a couple of tenths out of the way from Race Chase. You know, that Sauber is struggling. We kind of thought that the hards were starting to be better than the mediums. This Sauber, I think, is just generally struggling at the moment. I don't really think there's a clear problem with them for the time being. A-Dub's going to get around Callie Robb here. That Ferrari in question's had a slight fall from grace in the recent laps. Lancey up 7 positions, currently having Driver of the Day honors. There's a fire-up flow into the pit lane here. Fire-up flow has gone to the set of the hard tires, so I think business as usual. Although race day now has, well, a proverbial mountain to climb here. He'll choose the Williams of fire-up flow first, and he will get above the Willie here. In position. Oh, jeez. Lancey now half a second out of the way from Shariah as the grid's starting to maybe slightly get spread out here. It does appear so. We've lost our kind of DRS train that we have had. Only a couple of cars have pit so far. Although I'm assuming we're going to get a lot of takers here for that pit lane very shortly. Starting with, I believe, is going to be Gott Palmer, but he's not done it. It's actually going to be Race Chase. Are we going to see a front wing replacement here for Race Chase? I'm very curious as to why he's lost as much time as he has. Is he just not enjoying the car? Has he got something wrong? And it's not going to be a front wing replacement. Yeah, maybe just not all's up to snuff with that Sauber. It does happen. Lancey and Shariah side by side. Lancey around the outside will be taken by the Sauber on this occasion, as we are starting to get a good fair bit of the medium tire runners pitting here. Lancey still within 0.3 of Shariah atop the grid. Nicky's actually he's actually shaved off about 2 seconds back to Palmer, and for the time being, Palmer will exit that pit lane, I would say, roughly P8. Yeah, that's got to be my guess for Gott Palmer here. Let's see what he decides to do. Does he stop this time? The answer appears to be yes. So entering the pit lane he goes. Now the question is, where will he drop to? He will be onto the hard tires. as expected. Into the pit lane as well, we do see Cali Rob and the Noganator. And Palmer dropped to P6. As Shiraya has absolutely blown past Lancia there, exiting turn 1. I think Lancia may have had a bit of wheel spin getting on the throttle, exiting that corner. That would explain why he's fallen backwards so quickly. So Nicky 64, our current leader, amongst the 5 cars who have yet to stop so far, all of which having started on the hard tires this Grand Prix. And I do not expect them to be pitting relatively soon. I think what we might see them do, stay out as long as he possibly can, maybe even have a case for the softs. It would be very unorthodox, but, it's possible. Could be. Hey, man, anything's possible here in Division 1. At the Hungaro ring, no less. Down the hill in towards turn 1 they go. Race chase around the outside of Travis Scott, and he'll have that one relatively easily. The top 5 having a couple of battles here. A-Dub 6/10 behind the Lancia, who's 6/10 behind the Shiraya Coleslaw. We do also have Fire Up Flow and Cali Rob. The Williams appears to have gotten around the Ferrari with ease. That has allowed Gottlieb Weeb into the mix-up here. What I will say is that Swede does not appear to be improving. He is very much falling off the back of Nicky 64 here. When I say that, he's staying a little bit stagnant, but you could tell he's losing time through the slower speed corners. Actually, that may not even be true. On acceleration there on the straight. He actually lost more in the straight line than he did going through the back end of Sector 2. That's slightly alarming. Although this is a very high downforce track, so it doesn't totally surprise me. It's very unique, this circuit, in the fact that it's got a good amount of high-speed bits here. Think of that first sector. DRS from the start-finish line to that tight and tricky, heavy braking turn 1, down the hill towards 2. That's quite quick. Exiting 2 through 3, up through 4. 4 is a very high-speed corner, in fairness, into 5, and then it gets pretty slow, 6 and 7. 8, 9, 10, and 11 are medium speed, I'd say, down the hill towards 12. That's a quick section until the corner. 13 slow, 14 on entry is slow, exiting's quite quick. I mean, again, we refer to this track as Monaco without the tight barriers, and it does seem like that. These guys really do need as much downforce as they could possibly get. But at the same time, it's a track that you overtake with DRS on. You know what I mean? It's a very fine line that these drivers need to be able to walk. And you can tell, I think, Sweet may have chosen the wrong option here. Has to be said. Either that or Nicky's putting together some of the laps of his life, which it also could be. Nicky's a very talented and veteran driver in his own right. Bit of a slide there. Lancia into the pit lane. Will be the first taker, I believe, of the hard tire runners to stop now. Only just gets that one within the speed limit there. Now, what does he decide to do? It's probably going to be the mediums. I'd be more surprised if it wasn't. Into the pit lane it is, and it will be the medium tires on for Lancia here. You see, so this is slightly alarming because if Lancia is pitting now and is losing that many positions, Palmer is going to have undoubtedly the lead of the Grand Prix back. Once the 4 cars ahead of him pit. I think it's going to be a very solid lead, too. Race Chase still does not appear to be clawing that lead back, ever so slightly if he is. What I will say, though, is that if Race Chase... Wow, oh, that's a big slide there for A-Dub. Palmer nearly. I know I wasn't immediately on for that one. I apologize. A-Dub is sliding all over the place. That car nearly went round. Palmer had to take evasive action. That bit of evasive action there as well as cost him about, I'd say about 0.6 of a second, as now Sui and Shariah into the pit lane. A-Dub stays out, choosing the overcut on his fellow hard tire runners here. Nicky 64 doing much of the same. Sui into the pit lane, down in the first corner. A-Dub is not able to challenge the McLaren. Race Chase is now improving, it has to be said. He's now actually clawing that time back very, very quickly. He's about 9.5 before that little mix-up between Palmer and A-Dub. He's now about 8.4. And I can tell you where that other second went. It's up the road, because that's what Palmer's already put behind A-Dub here. Courtney Weeb and Callie Robb side by side here, exiting 2. Wheel to wheel they go, as the Williams has gotten around Callie Robb, at least for the time being. Shariah trying to poke his head into this battle as well. Bit of a slow go there through the chicane, as Racey's actually going to get around Travis Scott going through turn 8. That's a bit bold. You don't see that happen too often. Is now Sui to the inside of Travis Scott. Travis Scott's lost 2 positions there, and slightly a more unusual part of the circuit. It wasn't even a mistake. He just genuinely lost the spots. Nicky and A-Dub into the pit lane. That will allow Palmer to retake the rightful throne at the top of the grid here, as we more or less expected that to happen. Well, I tell you what, these guys may have been a mistake with the overcut here, as they're going to be losing spots probably all the way back down to Shariah, it seems. Although Nicky 64 has come out on track. Up in 3rd. A-Dub is actually the one who appears to have suffered. He's back down to 12th. Getting closer to 10 laps to go. I'm a little surprised we haven't seen a safety car yet. Just the one DNF. And that was for Schaefer, who, after picking up multiple pit lane speeding violations, decided to call it a day, I believe, at the end of lap 3. But here we are now. And you know what's even better? Not one car, but on the Santa Knockwood, has actually not picked up a 3-second time penalty here. Side by side, Courtney Weeb has gotten around Shariah Coleslaw. And in towards turn 12, the Williams is going to have that position. Six and a half tenths of a second here. Lancey may have a good look at race day as DRS activated. Of course, race day having pit 11 laps ago after his collection of incidents, which resulted in a front wing being lost and him actually missing the entry to the pit lane, having gone deep through that corner as on the way in. Shariah Coleslaw deep into the corner is going to get around Courtney Weeb here. Round his right side. May open the door for Callie Robb as well. A little bit further behind, but having a bit of a peek on in here. Well, race day, I think, has almost had another mistake. Well, that was... Lancey has gotten around him, let's be fair. Oh, and I've jinxed it, haven't I? His fire up flow, first 3-second penalty of the day. As we do have a yellow flag, it's the Ferrari of Callie Robb. Has gone round through 5. He seems to have gotten it back under control. Something happened there between race day and Lancey. I don't know if race day had lost the car temporarily coming out of turn 3 and, you know, kind of had to check himself up, and that kind of almost got in Lancey's way drastically there, because that Mercedes was definitely noticeably slower exiting that corner. I bet you that's what's happened. Meanwhile, Palmer appears to be walking away with this one, as we've expected. 11.5 seconds ahead of Race Chase, and that gap only seems to be getting bigger. Race Chase, though, I will say, 2.5 behind him down the road is that of Nicky 64, who might be making a charge at his podium position, but I tell you what, Race Chase would still have a very good day for him here if he is able to finish on the podium. It's actually be about where he started. Yep, he started 3rd. He would finish 3rd at that point. But what I will say is that Race Chase has lost about 0.4 of a second there, just slightly randomly. Fire Up Flow leads the procession here of Shariah, Coleslaw, Travis Scott, and Gottney Weeb, as Weeb's actually going to get around Travis Scott there going through in towards turn 5, and he's actually picked up a 3-second time penalty as well. I'm not really sure what's happened. I think as he had to avoid the Alpine for some reason, and he's gone wide. I don't know. Lancey's another driver to have now picked up 3 seconds in penalty. Nicky 64, half a second or less. Back to Race Chase, exiting turn 14 they go. The medium tire is going to be doing well here. 12.3 seconds the gap. But Nicky 64 will get round Race Chase and up to that second spot. Once again appears to be taking the title of best of the rest. Race Chase won't even have DRS down to turn 2, as Nicky's going to get that double dose of having been behind at the detection point. Entering turn 14, there's only just the one detection zone for the 2 DRS sections. I think the Williams may have collided there going through turn 2. That was slightly odd. Oh, and again, yeah. Bit of argy-bargy going on here between the 2 Willies. Never a good sign when the Willies are touching each other, that's for sure. Sorry, I wouldn't lie to you. Okay, I wouldn't lie to you about this sort of thing. Sometimes you just got to make it fun, you know. Sometimes you just got to have a little fun, and I like to do that. As we make our way down through, beginning the 25th lap of the Grand Prix. Next time by will be 10 laps to go. Four-tenths of a second here. Finds Lancey. Back to Race Day. And I tell you what, hats off to Race Day if he's able to hold on to a top 10, which at the moment doesn't appear possible with Lancey's quick medium tires behind him. And, of course, with the overpowering DRS on this section of the track in particular. I think Race Day might just be okay with this one. You know, it'll suck that he's not on the top step of the podium. It'll suck that he probably won't be on the podium in general. But you gotta say, it's been a great recovery from him so far, and I'm glad that he didn't quit the race when he could have. Because let me tell you something, he was in the depths of hell there for a good little bit, and he's got himself back up to relevancy here within the Grand Prix now as we come to 10 laps to go. So he is still 0.3 of a second behind. Race Chase is trying to fix that. Race Chase actually, I think Lancey's actually lost a bit of time there. He now finds himself a second out behind Race Day. Oh, is he going to be able to get within DRS range? The detection point is there. And yeah, he's within it by about 0.2. Sweet of the inside of Race Chase, and he'll have that third spot. DRS activated for both Fire Up Flow and now A-Dub. A-Dub well to the inside. He's actually going to really overpower the Williams there. Even with the DRS, that was kind of a battle that couldn't even be fought there by Fire Up Flow. A-Dub has just purely outpaced him there down the straight. Heading up through turn 4, Lancey is still, well, he's made it back to about half a second behind Race Day after having overcome whatever error or mishap it was that sent him back initially. It's a massive error there for A-Dub going through the chicane. I'm afraid he's not handled that one well at all. He's now quite the sitting duck for Fire Up Flow. We can have a look at that battle in a little bit, but for now we do have, of course, the battle for the third spot between Sui and Race Chase here as they exit the final corner. And down the pit straight, that Sauber has saved up a good bit of energy here. Sui using it defensively as down the hill into turn 1 they go. Race Chase does get about 3/4 of a second back, but he's not going to be close enough to make a move into turn 2. So Race Chase is trying his best to get back within position now. A little bit of a slide there, it appeared for Race Day coming out of the corner. Lancey, though, still unable to challenge. Shariah Coleslaw in the picture as well, 0.4 of a second behind. I'm slightly disappointed we haven't seen any rain today. Of course, you know, I was wrong about not being any 3-second time penalties. I could be wrong about this too, but for the time being, it looks unlikely. Tell you what, Shariah Coleslaw definitely going to be able to challenge Lancey here, I think. Making their way through turn 11. Race Day is going to be in a lot of trouble here. Not to mention he's got 2 cars now within DRS range on him. It's a tricky spot to be in this because now it's not easy to defend against 1 car, never mind 2, and you really don't want to be a nuisance, but Race Day's going to be fine here. I tell you what, somehow he is able to hold on. As Travis Scott's got a tenner for speeding into the pit lane. Race Day is now beyond, I guess, that normal pit stop window for those hard tires. I mean, we saw those guys pit at lap 20. It's going to be a task, though, for Race Day. See if he can hold on. Shariah Coleslaw to the back end of Lancey here still. Let's do 6 and 7. Lancey, with that penalty to be applied, I believe will be falling at least. I think he'll be falling to 7th, maybe 8th. Yeah, I don't really think he's going to fall down to 8th, but he will fall at least to 7th behind Shariah. I'd be close there. Actually, I don't think it would, because A-Dub is still about a second behind Gottney Weeb there. So, yeah, that would help Lancey at least hold on to that spot. Into the first corner they go. Race Chase again, not able to pressure Sui, although I tell you what, he's still there. And hey, I'll be honest with you. I've said a lot of negative things about Race Chase's pace today. But he's holding on quite well to Sui here. Because we do have a yellow flag. I believe it is Travis Scott having some sort of issue there. Yeah, I'll be fair with you. I've said a lot of negative things about Race Chase today. And his overall pace. But he is definitely pressuring Sui now. Of course, Sui's medium tires, I think, still better. And they probably will remain better as Race Chase's hards are going to be pretty shot by the end of this stint, as Lancey's actually gotten around Race Day, and now Shariah and Race Day side by side through the chicane. And Race Day's going to lose 2 spots there. Lancey made that move exiting turn 5, and I think it... was it a move, or was it just an error by Race Day again? Could have been either way. But where he has gone is down to 7th. That's unfortunate. He'll at least get that one back, because Lancey's got the penalty. But the line this time will be 5 laps to go. As, oh, look at this, Race Chase to the inside, and he will get round Sui. Not only will he get round the Ferrari, but I think he's definitely gonna have DRS here. He's probably gonna hold on, it looks, as Shariah, oh, look at this, 3 they go. Oh, okay, so let's dissect that. Shariah in the middle, Race Day was on the inside, Lancey was on the outside. Shariah was the one that decided to brake early and had a bit of a lockup. That car nearly went round, as we see Race Day, who's gotten to the inside of Lancey through 2, and Race Day back up to 5th. Action up and down the grid, of course, as we also could see Noganator make a move at Fire Up Flow here in the coming laps. Into the chicane. Oh, Lancey, what are you doing, man? That's just poor. I'm sorry. You're going into a corner like that. It's already tight and tricky as it is. You're not even in a desperate position, are you? That is just an unnecessary attempt at a move right there. It really is. Sure, what they say about if you no longer go for a gap, you're not a racing driver. You could absolutely look at it like that. That was unnecessary, and all the progress race day has done has completely been lost now, and that is just totally heartbreaking for him. Fire up flow getting around Noganator. It appeared the Haas had a bit of a slightly bad getaway there on the throttle exiting turn 1. Race day, I think, is going to look to salvage the fastest lap point here. Tell you what, again, you gotta feel for him here, because he's absolutely had what was going to be a good start. He did have a very good start as well. Got off the line, cleared Palmer, lost the position, lost a lot of positions, got most of them back, and now has lost them again, I'm afraid. Hate to see it. As they exit the final corner, we are now within the last 5 laps of the Grand Prix. Cali Robb trailing behind, sees Gotney Weave. He will try the inside of Lancey here, and appears to set the V-car behind him, at least for the time being. Oh, the Ferrari's going to try to squeeze in there as well. Side by side now, Cali Robb, as Lancey's going to fall to the 8th spot. Nicely done from Cali Robb. As Fire Up Flow and Noganator side by side, the Haas is going to stick to that inside. Well, that was a neat little move there from Noganator. He's overtaken the Williams and then has parked it on the apex, considering he was going to go well wide through turn 3 there. And that has absolutely halted the progress of Fire Up Flow. Noganator, bit of good work there from him as well. At the line this time, well, next time by for Palmer at least, will be 2 laps to go here, as he's got nearly a 15-second advantage on Mickey 64. But what I will say is this race chase, since having gotten around Sui, is actually put behind like a 1.5 seconds on the guy. Race chase putting some great pace here, and I have to think those mediums are starting to wear off. That's probably true. And those hards are probably not easy to drive on either, but race chase here, on a day where I've slammed him a lot, he's actually done quite well. He's, after all is said and done, looks like he's going to hold on to 3rd. Good effort from him. We'll open up the penalty tracker once more. Race day does now have the fastest lap, the 1:16.056. Gotney Weeb is about 4/10 behind Shariah Coleslaw. Lancey about 9/10 behind Cali Robb. Of course, with the penalty as well, will lose the position at least to the Noganator. I don't believe it'll be anybody behind him. Although, what I will say is this: Lancey is continually putting time back to the Noganator here. Just about 0.8 of a second shy of being able to hold on to that 8th spot. Of course, we do think there could still be another penalty on the way after the collision with Race A. And you know, I apologize for maybe being harsh. It didn't look like a pure lockup to me. That's the only problem. You know what I mean? It looked like one of those things, as Gotney Weave is going to get around Shariah here, it looked like one of those things where he couldn't make a distinct decision as if he was going to go for it or not. You know, he kind of hesitated, and then he didn't. And he went forward again. It didn't look like it was a severe lockup where it was just sheer mistake. I think indecision may have been the killer there. Because it's not for a lack of skill. I mean, he's a talented driver. Maybe just a poor decision. It does happen. So at the line this time for Gott Palmer will be the final lap of the Grand Prix. 16 seconds down the road will be Nicky 64. 5 seconds behind him will be Race Chase. Now 2.5 behind him is Sui. That Ferrari is suddenly struggling here. Either that or Race Chase is putting together some fantastic laps. And I think both might be the answer. 4/10 of a second. Kelly Robb and Shariah Coleslaw, and this will probably be his last opportunity to genuinely get round the Sauber here. He's got the DRS down the pit straight and out of that first corner. If he hasn't made it by then, yeah, you can consider that position belonging to Shariah. DRS activated, and Shariah's going to have it as well. Tagatne Weeb, this is a big one here. Does Kelly Robb choose to send it? No, he doesn't. But he could be within enough position here to be able to take Shariah through 2. Looking around the outside, Kelly Robb, is he going to be able to get it? He'll have to outbrake the Sauber. Wheel to wheel they go. He'll have the inside going through 3. Bit of contact there. As Kelly, oh, they're still wheel to wheel. This is brilliant. Meanwhile, Palmer's about to cross the line and win. As Kelly Robb has gotten the position, we will now go up to Palmer as he's making his way through 13. Total atomic annihilation here at the hands of Palmer. Coming across the line and will win the Hungarian Grand Prix in absolutely pristine fashion here. He's done everything he's needed to do, and then some. By the way, his first win in Division 1 since the final round of Season 13 back on October 17th at COTA. His first win of the season. Nicely done for Palmer. Back in the winner's circle. Nicky 64. Fantastic display to finish second. Race Chase to third. Great result for Race Chase. Swee in fourth. Hey, no problem with that either. Tagatne Weeb will round the line. He'll cross the line fifth. He'll lose at least 2 spots here to both Kelly Robb and Shariah Coleslaw. He'll fall to 7th. Lancey, I think, will fall to at least 10th now. No, maybe only 9th. Yep, it'll fall to 9th for Lancey. 10th will be Fire Up Flow. 11th Gunner, 11th A-Dub, 12th Gunner, 13th. Oh, it's going to be close to the line. Race day short by about 2/10 there. And just waiting for Houdini. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in today. Join us next time out when we head to the Marina Bay Street Circuit in Singapore for round number 8 of this 14th Division 1 season here in the Midwest F1 League. For Hotspot, it has been a pleasure joining you once again, and we'll see you next time.